Yeah, so we're going to talk about technology. We'll touch on some of the environmental and economic benefits of nature tech. Pardon me one second. There we go. And we'll share some of our lessons learned on the journey. So it won't be a surprise to anybody here in the room that when water gets moving really fast, it can be destructive, right? It can destroy land, infrastructure, houses, and even cause fatalities. And if you look at a natural system, you see a lot of things that look kind of like Swiss cheese, right? They're permeable, they allow flow, but they slow it down, and that's what protects us. Unfortunately, how we build today, it tends to speed water up, right? So building things impermeable, you can stop water temporarily, but it's going to find the edges and it's going to make it go faster. And so when you see something like this is an auxiliary spillway. Even just looking at this, you can tell that's cycle of hardening, right? So the water's moving too fast, so I have to harden it, and then this thing is going to make it flow a lot faster, which leads to more and more hardening. That's like a cash furnace for local municipal budgets and how, the funds we have for society. So I think we could be a lot smarter in how we build and use technology to accomplish that. So the key, we're a very purpose-driven firm, and we're very passionate about bringing biodiversity and beauty to coastal systems. We strongly believe that the way to get there, the methodology to get there, is using technology to slow water down and allow it to flow. And so the methodology, if you look at the constituent parts of how we work with our clients are ports, municipal, residential. We kind of span even some conservation and nonprofit. So if you have a large stretch of land and you're looking at a lot of challenges, the first challenge is problem definition. So are you worried about a 50-year storm? Is it sheet flow? Is it a wave? Is it some sort of a sea level rise type planning scenario? So once you define the problem, the question becomes, what's the best method? What's the best methodology to deal with those forces? And then at that point, once you understand that in your budget, you have a plan. I think it's really critical to get everybody on the same page. So working in anything that touches the water is inherently complex, and it's inherently a team sport. So you got to engage with resource agencies, community. There's lots of local knowledge you got to incorporate. So that communication and having real facts to get everybody on the same page is important. If you want to be able to consider nature-based techniques. And then finally, how do we monitor that and share that with people so we get better over time and lead that to a beneficial cycle. So, when we talk about technology, a lot of what we're doing is using, AI and other tools to understand that Goldilocks point. So if we take, for example, a shoreline treatment, should that be, 50 pounds a linear foot, or should that be 6,000 pounds a linear foot? And so shouldn't we have a number, shouldn't we have some calculus to help us decide what that Goldilocks point is to protect that shoreline or protect that asset? And so one way we can conceptualize this using a technology tool is something like computational fluid dynamics, right? So we can simulate flow through a flood protection device. And if you can make it permeable, you can slow that water down. And so on the right side of the screen there, you can see that water on the bottom is moving slow. That's going to deposit sediment naturally. That means you don't have to bring as much fill material, you leave more of the natural system intact. And so you're allowing it to flow and slowing it down and letting nature do the rest. So a wave, like modeling a wave, is a little more complex, right? So we look at historical storm data from NOAA, look at tidal gauges, all this open data. We pull in satellite data to look at baseline erosion rates, and we can build up all the wind and all the wave energy in 365 degrees, and then you can model a wave, right? You can get a model wave. And so you'll know the 99th percentile wave in a really, really bad storm, and you know the 50th percentile wave you're getting on a regular basis. And you can look at those sliding and overturning forces, and you can design that Goldilocks type structure that's going to accomplish your objectives. And the work that we do, we like our projects, we've done about 80 commercial installs. They're in counties that have incomes that are 30% below the national average. But these are oftentimes communities and towns that don't have big planning budgets. So the ability to use technology and quickly get to a plan and a budget and kind of right size so they can go get funding from federal agencies, that helps those communities to not get left out of the discussion because they don't have all those planners and engineers on staff. And so once we get there, we know what we need to build. We've experimented over the last 20 years with all kinds of different ways of making flow control structures, and we've developed our own advanced manufacturing technique. It's similar to 3D printing. That allows us to tailor the voids and the roughness and the weight. If you look on the right, there's all kinds of different geometries. With the push of a button, we can generate these different modules. Some look like cypress knees, some look like other natural features. So we use a lot of biomimicry to kind of shortcut away to a good solution. And this allows us to tailor it to the site conditions and not do the same thing everywhere where it doesn't belong. So what that leads to are smarter, lighter installs. So as an example, going back to flood control or drainage, on the left there you see this is pretty common. You got too much speed in the channel, they'll concrete the entire thing or block mat the entire thing. Again, that's just making it fast and making problems worse elsewhere. It's also very expensive. We can accomplish the same thing with 1/20th of the weight, right, by putting in these kind of more natural modular solutions to slow that water down. And that's going to allow you to kind of build your sediment up naturally and keep that channel healthy. And it's way better for biodiversity. It's also better on the wildlife. So more of a storm protection standpoint, not everybody can see the screen here. It looks like, and I apologize for the group over here for having to move it. But on the left, we've got this kind of low and slow, right? So allow the water to flow, but slow it down. This is 1 tons per linear foot, our kind of modular solutions. That allows a really nice sandbank to build up behind it, and then the marsh benefits from nutrients and beneficial overwash in your normal storms. When Hurricane Laura hit, this was a massive storm. Cat 4 hurricane, 150 mile per hour winds, direct hit on this site. And you can see there the marsh and the shoreline was completely intact after that insane storm. You look on the right side, that's a traditional heavy rock breakwater, 10 tons per linear foot, so 10 times the weight. And what do you see with the shoreline and the rock breakwater? The rock breakwater is thrown all over the place and damaged. The shoreline's damaged. That marsh wasn't as healthy because that wasn't that beneficial water exchange, right? So this stuff does work. And I think we see more and more communities and clients across different sectors embracing this kind of lighter weight technique. So we also use technology to monitor after the fact. So we use the same geospatial and satellite data to plan the projects, to look at it on the back end. And we found that vegetation health, looking at NDVI, which is a metric for chlorophyll in leaves, this is something you can get very cost effectively, and it gives you a very good proxy for how well that system is doing. So this is a real project we installed, put in a permeable flow control structure to keep tidal floods down. That area stopped washing out as much, and you can see the marsh brighten back up after the fact, which is exactly what you want to see. We're also big fans of eDNA, so I had a great conversation outside about using this. So eDNA is like 23andMe for the biosphere. It's really a cool tool, just like 23andMe. When you get it, you open it up, you're like, whoa, no way, like I didn't know. So it's really kind of a neat thing. And it really encourages a lot of sharing and engagement with various types of clients. Like we work with a lot of private sector clients, engages their employees, helps them understand why they want to do something nature-based. Because this is a good example, we just delivered this report. There were 4 threatened and endangered species on a nature-based breakwater we did for this client. And so once you show those photos, it really helps them to get dialed in on doing this and draws them into the conversation. And then, there's really no perfect way to answer this or to kind of measure biodiversity. There'll be research going on for years, but you can look at it and see that it's more biodiverse, but we can also kind of back that up with some summary metrics there. And, I'll kind of leave you with a couple things. Experience is important. So, how do people experience these resources? We want to access the resources. Can they fish on it? Can they walk through it? That's really important. Cost is really important. And I think as we look at nature-based, this is a real example. A client I just met with this week, the traditional solution was $6 million. We were able to accomplish the same thing for $1.5 million. This drives behavior. We have to be bold about showing people the economic advantages of taking these techniques. Otherwise, they're going to default to what is traditional. We're scaling up. We're going fast. We've done a lot of these installs. We're proud of that. And a quick last note on permitting. The resource agencies, they're here to help. Use data. Get your permits in early. Nobody's trying to jam you up for a living shoreline, right? Super highways and chemical plants are permitted every day. So I think, again, working together and using technology, we can get this done. So we try to share as much as we can. We have an info session, series where we share information. So you can reach out to us if you want to join that and learn more. Again, super thrilled to get to know more of you the rest of the day, and appreciate the time.